Admiral Kreshtar of the Dominion Assault Fleet had been conducting siege warfare for the better part of 6 months, and victory was finally within his grasp. The rebellious colonies of the Epsilon sector had held out longer than expected, but their defenses were crumbling. His fleet of 800 warships had systematically reduced their orbital platforms to scrap metal, and planetary bombardment would commence within hours. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, "the final surrender demand has been transmitted. Colonial leadership has until the next solar cycle to respond." Kreshtar's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. The Dominion High Command would be pleased with his efficiency. These upstart colonies had dared to declare independence, thinking their remote location would protect them from retaliation. They had been wrong. "Sir," the communications officer's voice cracked with urgency, "we're detecting massive hyperspace signatures at the system's edge. Reinforcements from the inner colonies?" Kreshtar asked dismissively. "How many ships?" I don't know, sir. The signatures are unlike anything in our databases. They're enormous." The main tactical display updated, showing the incoming fleet's projected positions. What Kreshtar saw made his respiratory systems falter. The signatures weren't just large, they were unprecedented. Each contact was registering as massive as a Dominion battlecruiser, but the energy patterns were completely unfamiliar. "Analysis," Kreshtar demanded. "Unknown configuration, sir. No match to any known civilization's vessel designs." "Count is." The tactical officer paused, recalibrating his instruments. "Approximately 40 vessels." Kreshtar relaxed slightly. 40 ships against his 800 was hardly a concern, regardless of their size. "Continue bombardment preparations. We'll deal with these newcomers after." "Sir." The sensor operator's voice pitched higher. Additional contacts emerging from hyperspace. Multiple groups, different vectors. The tactical display exploded with new signatures. 40 became 80, then 120, then 200. Within minutes, the system's edge was swarming with unknown vessels, approaching from every possible angle. "Final count, sir," the tactical officer reported with barely controlled panic. 1,200 vessels. They're surrounding us." Before Kreshtar could respond, his communications array activated with an incoming transmission. The image that appeared on his command screen was both mundane and terrifying in its simplicity. A human female in a crisp blue uniform, sitting in what appeared to be a perfectly ordinary command chair. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force," the human said with the same unsettling calm that had become humanity's diplomatic signature. "Dominion Fleet, you are ordered to cease all hostile actions against the Epsilon colonies immediately." Kreshtar found his voice, though it took considerable effort. "This is Admiral Kreshtar of the Dominion. You have no authority here, human. This is a legitimate military operation against rebellious territories." "Admiral," Chen replied, and somehow her tone became even more pleasant. "I'm going to explain this once. The Epsilon colonies requested membership in the United Earth Coalition 3 days ago. Their application was approved this morning. You are currently conducting military operations against Earth citizens." The words hit Kreshtar like a physical blow. In his peripheral vision, he could see his bridge crew exchanging looks of mounting horror. Everyone in the galaxy had heard stories about what happened to species that threatened human citizens. The colonies never indicated they had applied for coalition membership, Kreshtar said desperately. "This is clearly a misunderstanding." Admiral Chen interrupted gently. "Are you familiar with human military doctrine regarding the protection of our citizens?" Kreshtar wasn't, but his intelligence officer was frantically accessing their databases. The results that appeared on his secondary display made his combat-hardened nervous system shut down momentarily. "Sir," his intelligence officer whispered, "according to galactic records, No military force has ever successfully engaged human fleet formations in combat. Every confrontation has resulted in total tactical defeat. What do you mean, total tactical defeat? Kreshtar demanded. Complete destruction or surrender of opposing forces, sir. Average engagement time, 14 minutes. Chen's voice returned to the communication channel. Admiral, you have 10 minutes to begin withdrawing your fleet from this system. Your bombardment preparations will cease immediately. Or what? Kreshtar found himself asking, though every instinct screamed at him not to. Chen smiled, and the temperature on the bridge seemed to drop several degrees. All will demonstrate why the Galactic Council established a quarantine around our system. You're outnumbered, Kreshtar declared, desperation creeping into his voice. 800 ships against 1,200. Those aren't impossible odds. Admiral, Chen said patiently, you're not outnumbered. You're outclassed. The tactical display suddenly lit up with new information as the human fleet finished its approach. What Kreshtar saw defied every principle of military engineering he understood. The human vessels weren't just large, they were impossibly advanced. Energy signatures that should have required massive reactor complexes were emanating from ships that appeared to be constructed from repurposed civilian infrastructure. Sir, his tactical officer reported, with a voice barely above a whisper, each human vessel is registering power outputs equivalent to our entire fleet combined. That's impossible, Kreshtar said flatly. Furthermore, the tactical officer continued, their weapon systems are. I can't classify them, sir. The energy patterns don't match any known technology. Chen's voice cut through the bridge's growing panic. Admiral, 9 minutes remaining. Kreshtar looked at his tactical display, at his 800 ships positioned throughout the system, at the colonists' failing defenses, at the human fleet that had materialized like a nightmare-made manifest. His military training warred with his survival instincts. What are your terms? He asked quietly. Immediate withdrawal from the system, Chen replied. Reparations for damages to colonial infrastructure. Formal apology to the citizens you've been terrorizing for 6 months. And if I refuse? Chen's expression didn't change, but somehow the entire human fleet seemed to shift slightly, like a predator adjusting its stance. Then we'll implement our standard conflict resolution protocol, which is complete neutralization of hostile forces, followed by war crimes tribunals. Kreshtar closed his eyes and tried to calculate the odds of survival if he chose to fight. His tactical computers, after running scenarios for 30 seconds, simply displayed INSUFFICIENT, DATEARECOME, ENDIMEME, EIEDEAUAT. Admiral Chen, he said finally, the Dominion fleet will begin withdrawal immediately. Excellent decision, Admiral. Colonial defense platforms will guide you to the system's edge. Please maintain your current formation until you're clear of inhabited space. As Kreshtar gave the orders to begin retreat, he couldn't help but notice that the human fleet hadn't powered down their weapons systems. They remained in perfect attack formation, ready to deliver the overwhelming force that their reputation promised. Sir, his communications officer said quietly, we're receiving a transmission from Dominion High Command. Put it through, Kreshtar sighed. The image of Supreme Commander Vorthak appeared on screen, his expression grim. Admiral, we've been monitoring your situation. Under no circumstances are you to engage the human fleet. Treat this as a full strategic withdrawal. Understood, sir. Furthermore, Vorthak continued, the Dominion Council is issuing formal recognition of the Epsilon Colony's independence and their membership in the United Earth Coalition. We will be sending diplomatic envoys to negotiate reparations. As the Dominion fleet began its humiliating retreat, Kreshtar watched the human vessels maintain their positions until every last warship had cleared the system. Only then did they begin to disperse, some taking up patrol routes around the colonies, others simply vanishing back into hyperspace as quickly as they had arrived. "Sir," his tactical officer said quietly, "how do we report this to High Command?" Kreshtar considered the question while watching his 800 warships flee from 1,200 human vessels that had achieved total strategic victory without firing a single shot. "We tell them the truth," he said finally. "We tell them that when humans arrive on the battlefield, the war is already over.